Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Please welcome to Sri Radha Govinda Mandir. There is a very wonderful darshan right here. And we will be chanting Jai Radha Madhav Kunja Bihari. Wherever you are, please try to join with me. This is the most favorite bhajan that Prabhupada had. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijan Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopijan Vallabha Girivardhari. Jashodanandan Vrajan Ranjan. Jashodanandan Vrajan Ranjan. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupada Paramhams. परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सिद्ध भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसति गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। अंतर मायापुर धाम की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। समावेद भक्त वृंद की जय। all Premanande, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Guru and Gauranga. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam. So we'll continue from yesterday. Our sponsor was Gujarati, and they insisted that we should be reading in Gujarati. So we did the reading in Gujarati to satisfy the requirements. Anybody wants to do it in Hindi also, we can do that in Hindi also. So please let us know whatever your language is, and how to satisfy your requirements. So we were reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, and that was chapter number 10 and verse number 23. There is a mention of Rudra, and that's why we picked that particular verse. So the verse goes like this. Rudranam Shankaraschasmi Vitteshu Yaksharaksasam Vasunam Pavakaschami Meruhu Shikariniyam. So, once again, Rudranam Shankaraschasmi Vitteshu Yaksharaksasam Vasunam Pavakaschami Meruhu Shikarina Aham. So Rudrana means of all the Rudras. Shankara means Lord Shiva. Cha means also. Asmi, I am. With Isha, the Lord of the treasury of the demigods. Yaksha Rakshasam, of the Yakshas and Rakshasas. Vasunam, of the Vasus. Pavakas, fire. Cha, also. Asmi, I am Meruhu, Meru, and Shikarinam, all of the mountains. Aham, I am. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Of all the Rudras, I am Lord Shiva. Of the Yakshas and Rakshasas, I am the Lord of wealth, Kuvera. Of the Vasus, I am fire, Agni. And of mountains, I am Meru. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. There are 11 Rudras, of whom Shankara, Lord Shiva, is the predominant. He is the incarnation of the Supreme Lord in charge of the mode of ignorance in the universe. The leader of the Yakshas and Rakshasas is Kuvera, the master treasurer of the demigods, and he is a representation of the Supreme Lord. Meru is mountain famed for its rich natural resources. So, there are 11 Rudras, and who are they? So, their names are Manyu, Manu, Mahinas, Mahan, Shiva, Rutadvaja, Ugrareta, Bhava, Kala, Vamadeva, Dhrutarata. These are those 11 Rudras. Out of them you saw one of them in the middle was Lord Shiva. That's most popular among all those. And also they are all married, so naturally they have Rudranis, they call it. And they have many names also, just like they have Di, Dhruti, Rasala, Uma, Niyut, Sarpi, Ila, Ambika, Iravati, Svada, Diksha, Parvati, etc. Now, where do they stay? Where can we find them? What are their places, positions? So they live in the heart, our senses. They are in oxygen, pranavayu. They are in those 5 elements, the earth, water, fire, air, ether. They are also in the sun and moon. And mainly they are in our austerities, which is called tapasya. So that is very important, because whatever you do, if it's Ekadashi or Śiva Rātri or Janmashtami or whatever, with any purpose, if you're fasting, and that's the austerity, or you're meditating or any kind of rituals that you're going through, and that's tapa. When you perform that austerity, they are always there. So these are the places to look for. Now, there is one interesting verse to explain today's what you call event. And why this particular day was named as Śiva Rātri. So, in Bhagavad Gita it is said in chapter number 2, verse number 69, that what is night for all beings is the time of awakening for the self-controlled. And the time of awakening for all beings is night for introspective sage. So, as we saw yesterday also we explained that there are four kinds of people. Some people are fully awake, and some people are still sleeping. Some are involved in awakening people. Wake up, right? These are the people, like devotees will go out with the books in their hands and they will try to wake the people. Read this, right? The human life is short. Don't think that you're going to live for thousands of years. It will be gone just like that. So please wake up. So these are the people who wakes people up. And the third one, they help people in their sleep, right? It's like bedtime stories and bedtime singing, and they say, please sleep, close your eyes, have a nice dreams, that kind of people. But out of all these people, the people who wake up other people, they are the best. And those already awakened, they are also good, because they have chances that they may be able to cross this material nations, this ocean of nations. So, Srila Prabhupada also explained that there are two classes of intelligent man. One is intelligent in the material activities for sense gratification, and the other is introspective and awake to cultivation of self-realization. Activities of the introspective sage or thoughtful man are night for persons materially absorbed. Materialistic persons remain asleep in such a night due to their ignorance of self-realization. The introspective sage remains alert in the night of the materialistic man. The sage feels transcendental pleasure in the gradual advancement of spiritual culture, whereas the man in the materialistic activities, being asleep for self-realization, dreams of varieties of sense pleasure, feeling sometimes happy and sometimes distress in his sleeping condition. The introspective man is always indifferent to materialistic happiness and distress. He goes on with his self-realization activities undisturbed by material reactions. So, the point that we were trying to make out of this is that actually every night is auspicious and it gives you an opportunity to wake up. So, just like these munis who actually spend their night time in meditating, in chanting, in thinking of self-realization. So, these are the people that we have to follow, and we can make every night as a Śiva Rātri. Shiva means auspicious. One who gives us auspiciousness is Shiva, and Rātri means night. So when we spend that night just like those sages, then that is a Shivratri for us. And the purpose they selected a particular day is because I as an individual may be practicing and passing my nights this way. But then we select a day when the whole world, the man, woman, demons, demigods, saintly people, whoever you think of, all the devotees, when they decide to spend that night and keep praying and ask the Lord to grant His grace, that time it's more active. It's like I can chant Hare Krishna, right? But if I go with 100 people, 100 devotees, with 100 mridangas, then it will benefit the whole city, because there is so much sound of that brihad mridanga, and everybody is chanting. That's why it's known as Sankirtana. Cheto darpanam arjanam bhavamaha davagni nirvapanam shreha kairava chandrika vitaranam vidyavadu jeevanam. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say we should be doing the congregational chanting. So similarly, this day is known as a Śiva Rātri. Why Maha? Because prasadam is always there, but when Krishna eats, that becomes Mahaprasad. Similarly, when everybody is joined together in congregation way and trying to spend the night that way, that particular night is called Śiva Rātri. Ratri is there, nights are there, but this particular night is very peculiar, and that's why it's known as Śiva Rātri. So, first of all, when we invite those forms of Lord Shiva, just like you see here every single day, Radha Govinda is appeared or presented in a beautiful costumes like this, right? Different colors, different textures, different forms. And so what happens, that same way Lord Shiva is also there in their Linga Svarupa. One is that you see him like a human being. Only thing, he keeps a snake over his neck, and he is a moon over his head, and he holds a trishul, they call it, and the instrument is a damru, little drum. Is just wearing a little leather of skin of tiger, and is rubbing his body with ash. So these are a different way, but that's a human form. So that's one of the forms. And the other forms, he comes in a linga form. So it is a, what you call, Swayambhu. When you go to the river, you will find this kind of form, and actually it's made because the Ganges or some rivers, they pass with such a great force that when they touch the stone takes that kind of shape, and finally they becomes like a linga. And there are 12 places, just like in Vrindavan you go, there are 7 to 8 authentic temples which these Goswamis had founded. Similarly, there are 12 places in India where these lings are found. One is the Somanath, another is Mallikarjun, third one is Mahakala, Mamaleshwara, Vaidyanath, Bhimashankara, Ramesha, Nagesha, Vishvesha, Trambakam, and Kedarnath, which is on the Himalayas, and Drishtvetam. So these are the 12 places, very familiar, and they are known as a Dvadasha Jyotirlinga. Dvadash means 12 of them, and 12 lingas. So if you want to invoke them, like yesterday we tried to sing that little prayer, which means that they will come and visit and stay with us for a few minutes in Radha Govinda temple. Radha Govinda will look at them and bless them, and at the same time, Lord Shiva will also pay obeisances to Lord Sri Krishna and glorify him. So let's chant that little prayer. It's very melodious and beautiful. All there is the names of those Jyotirlings. Saurashtre Somanatham cha Shri Shaila Mallikarjunam Ujjayam Mahakalam Omkaram Mamaleshwaram Paralyam Vaijyanatham cha Dakinyam Bhimashankaram Setu Bandhe Turamesham Nagesham Darukavane Varanasyam tu Vishvesham Trambakam Gautami Tate Himalaya tu Kedaram Drushneshwam tu Shivalaya Etani Jyotirlingan Sayam Prata Pathenara Sapta Janma Krutam Papam Smaranena Vinashyati Smaranena Vinashyati. So, just like we are entering in offering obeisance to Srila Prabhupada, and then we come to Radha Govinda offering obeisance to Srila Prabhupada. Just imagine that these 12 Jyotirlings have entered our temple room and they are paying obeisance to Srila Prabhupada and then paying obeisance to Lord Sri Krishna. And all these people who are very dear to Krishna, because these are the topmost devotees, the gopis and gopas of Vrindavan, nobody can match them. The topmost Vaishnava, Lord Shiva, who can match them? No. In eyes of Lord Sri Krishna, they are the best devotees. And their way of praying to Lord Sri Krishna is also similar. The gopis prayed certain way, and now Lord Shiva has come to pray to Radha Govinda. And he is using the same words as the gopis used those words. And he sings, Yasyananam makurakundal charukarna Brajat kapol subhagam savilashasam Nityotsavam na tatrupardishi vipibantya Naryo narascha murita kupita nimescha. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Krishna's face is decorated with ornaments, such as earrings resembling sharks. His ears are beautiful, his cheeks brilliant, and his smiling attractive to everyone. Whoever sees Lord Krishna sees a festival. Very important. We have come here to celebrate something. But here they say, whenever you see Lord Sri Krishna, you feel as if you have come for some festivity. You have to come to celebrate. It's a daily celebration, Krishna's darshan. So, whoever sees Lord Krishna sees a festival. His face and body are fully satisfying for everyone to see. But the devotees are angry at the Creator for the disturbance caused by momentary blinking of their eyes. So, this is a mechanism, eyes, which is designed to see. But what happens that eyes also need to rest, and that is why what happens that it closes an opening and closing the opening. So that's called an image. For a fraction of a second, that has to close and open. But the thing is that when it closes, that time you are not able to see Lord Sri Krishna. And that time there is some kind of interruption in the meditation for the devotees who are actually worshipping Lord Sri Krishna. So that's why they complain to Brahma that although you created a beautiful world around us, the eyes or the design of the eyes has some defect, or we don't approve your approach to this particular eyes. So that's just the beginning that they offer the obeisances. Now, Lord Shiva has some obligations on us. So, in this particular Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 7, the title itself explains that Lord Shiva saves the universe. He is the one who saved the universe. And what was the past times? So, here it is given. Shukadeva Goswami said, O best of Kurus, Maharaja Parikshit, the demigods and demons summons Vasuki, king of the serpents, requesting him to come and promising to give him a share of the nectar. They coil Vasuki around Mandara mountain as a churning rope, and with great pleasure they endeavor to produce nectar by churning the ocean of milk. So, what happened that they are churning the ocean, Kshirosagar, and all of a sudden they see that instead of nectar, the poison came out. That's why they got scared, and they approached Lord Shiva. They needed some help of Lord Shiva. So, when that uncontrollable poison was forcefully spreading up and down in all directions, all the demigods along with the Lord himself approached Lord Shiva, feeling unsheltered and very much afraid. They sought shelter of Lord Shiva. So, the demigods observed Lord Shiva sitting on a summit of Kailash hill with his wife Bhavani. For the auspicious development of the three worlds, he was being worshipped by great saintly persons desiring liberation. The demigods offered him their blessings, obeisances, and prayers with great respect. The Prajapati said, O greatest of all demigods, Mahadev, super soul of all living entities, and cause of their happiness and prosperity, We have come to the shelter of your lotus feet. Now please save us from this fiery pollution which is spreading all over the three worlds. O Lord, you are the cause of bondage and liberation of the entire universe, because you are its ruler. Those who are advanced in spiritual consciousness surrender unto you, and therefore you are the cause of mitigating that distresses, and you are also the cause of their liberation. We therefore worship your Lordship. O Lord, you are self-effulgent and supreme. You create this material world by your personal energy, and you assume the names Brahma, Vishnu and Mahashiva when you act in creation, maintenance and annihilation. You are the cause of all causes, the self-effulgent, inconceivable, impersonal Brahman, which is originally Parabrahman. You manifest various potencies in this cosmic manifestation. So these are the words so beautifully spoken by all the demigods. They continue to Lord Shiva, glorifying him. They say, O Lord, you are the original source of Vedic literature. You are the original cause of material creation, the life force, the senses, the five elements, the three modes of material nature, and the Mahatattva. You are eternal time, determination, and the two religious systems called truth and truthfulness. You are the shelter of the syllable Om, which consists of three letters A, U, and M. O Father of all planets, learned scholars know that fire is your mouth, the surface of the globe is your lotus feet, eternal time is your movement, all the directions are your ears, and Varuna, master of border, is your tongue. O Lord, the sky is your navel, and air is your breathing, the sun is your eyes, and the water is your semen. You are the shelter of the kinds of living entities, high and low. The god of the moon is your mind, and the upper planetary system is your head. So all these verses, they are, when you put together, it's known as a Purusha Sukta. So when we do the Abhishek, that time we chant all these prayers. Chandrama manasu jatas chaksu suyu ajayato mukhad indrascha gnischat pranad vayu ajayata. So these are very important verses. They continue. O Lord, you are the three Vedas personified. The seven seas are your abdomen, and the mountains are your bones. All drugs, creepers, and vegetables are the hairs on your body. The Vedic mantras like Gayatri are the seven layers of your body, and Vedic religious system is the core of your heart. O Lord, the five important Vedic mantras are represented by your five faces, from which the 38 most celebrated Vedic mantras have been generated. Your Lordship, being celebrated as Lord Shiva, is self-illuminated. You are directly situated as the supreme truth known as Paramatma. O Lord, your shadow is seen in irreligion, which brings about varieties of irreligious creations. The three modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, are your three eyes. All the Vedic literatures, which are full of verses, are emanation from you, because their compilers wrote the various scriptures after receiving your glance. O Lord Girisha, since the impersonal Brahman effulgence is transcendental to the material modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance, the various directors of this material world certainly cannot appreciate it or even know where it is. It is not understandable even to Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, or the King of Heavens, Mahendra. When annihilation is performed by the flames and sparks emanating from your eyes, the entire creation is burned to ashes. Nevertheless, you do not know how this happens. What then is to be said of your destroying the Daksha Yajna, Tripurasura, and the Calcutta poison? Such activities cannot be subject matter for the prayers offered to you. Exalted, self-satisfied persons who preach to the entire world think of your lotus feet constantly within their hearts. However, when persons who do not know your austerity see you moving with Uma, they misunderstand you to be lusty. Or when they see you wandering in the cremation, they mistakenly think that you are ferocious and envious. Certainly, they are shameless. They cannot understand your activities. So yesterday we were looking at the pastimes with Chitraketu, and he was a pure devotee. And according to him, he was not wrong. But that kind of criticism doesn't apply to Lord Sri Shiva, because he is beyond all these things. Although, we may have some attachment to things. Anytime we see something, we want it. And if you don't get it, we get angry. That kind of thing. For so far as Lord Shiva is concerned, he has everything. So why he should be put in that kind of category? So that was his mistake. And here it is the same thing is explained here. So certainly they are shameless and they cannot understand your activities. Even personalities like Lord Brahma and other demigods cannot understand your position. For you are beyond the moving and non-moving creation. Since no one can understand you in truth, how can one offer you prayers? It is impossible. As far as we are concerned, we are creatures of Lord Brahma's creation. Under circumstances, therefore, we cannot offer you adequate prayers. But as far as our ability allows, we have expressed our feelings. O greatest of all rulers, your actual identity is impossible for us to understand. As far as we can see, your presence brings flourishing happiness to everyone. Beyond this, no one can appreciate your activities. We can see this much and nothing more. So they confess their limitations. And now, Srila Shukadeva Goswami continued. Lord Shiva is always benevolent towards all living entities. When he saw that the living entities were very much disturbed by the poison, which was spreading everywhere, he was very compassionate. Thus he spoke to his eternal consort Sati as follows. Lord Shiva said, my dear Bhavani, just see how all these living entities have been placed in danger because of the poison produced from the churning of ocean of milk. It is my duty to give protection and safety to all living entities struggling for existence. Certainly, it is the duty of the master to protect his suffering dependents. People in general being bewildered by illusory energy of Supreme Personality of Godhead are always engaged in the animosity towards one another. But devotees, even at the risk of their own temporary lives, try to save them. My dear gentle wife Bhavani, when one performs benevolent activities for others, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, is very much pleased And when the Lord is pleased, I am also pleased, along with all other living creatures. Therefore, let me drink this poison, for all the living entities may thus become happy because of me. So this is a chain. It is a contagious reaction. When Krishna smiles, Lord Shiva smiles. Right? When Krishna is happy, Lord Shiva is happy. When we do something good to others, Krishna likes that. At the same time, Lord Shiva also approves our act. So next time when you do something good, do not think nobody is noticing. It's okay. Nobody is noticing, you are right. But don't think that nobody has taken note of it. Lord Krishna has taken note of it, and Lord Shiva has also taken note of it at the same time. You are appreciated. Srila Shukadeva Goswami continued, after informing Bhavani in this way, Lord Shiva began to drink the poison, and Bhavani, who knew perfectly well the capabilities of Lord Shiva, gave him her permission to do so. This is exactly what we have to learn from Srimad Bhagavatam. There is husband and there is wife. The husband has his commitments, his duties to perform. His wife has the same thing. But still, when they go together, there are two legs, right? If they go in a separate direction, or one sits and other one just active, you cannot walk. Two hands, same way. Two eyes, two ears, right? Biologically, everything is given too. But that has to also go together. So husband and wife, when they agree on the decision that they are taking, then it will be more successful. It will be appreciated by the rest of the world also. So here it is said that Bhavani, he knew perfectly well the capability of Lord Shiva, gave him her permission to do so. If Lord Shiva was not capable of handling poison, she would have objected. But she knew the strength of Lord Shiva. As if in defamation, the poison born from the ocean of milk manifested its potency by marking Lord Shiva's neck with a bluish line. That line, however, is now accepted as an ornament of the Lord. That's Lord Nilkant. Nil means blue and Kant means snake. So one of the names of Lord Shiva is Nilkant. It is said that great personalities almost always accept voluntary sufferings because of the sufferings of people in general. This is considered the highest method of worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present in everyone's heart. Upon hearing of this act, everyone, including Bhavani, the daughter of Maharaj Daksha, Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and the people in general, very highly praise this deed performed by Lord Shiva, who is worshipped by the demigods and who bestows benedictions upon the people. Scorpions, cobras, poisonous drugs, and other animals whose bites are poisonous took the opportunity to drink whatever little poison had fallen and scattered from Lord Shiva's hand while he was drinking. So actually we skip those pages where because of the time limit. But the thing is that just like we do the Achman, he just did the Achman. Took all the poison in his hand and Om Keshvaya Namo Swaha, Narayana Namo Swaha, Madhvaya Namo Swaha, Govindaya Hari Hari. And the leftover, whatever was there, when he washed his hands, fell on the ground and all the scorpions and cobras and everybody came and they drank that poison. So this is very beautiful pastimes. And also at the end, they say that whoever is listening this particular pastimes will be liberated. So it's very much appreciable that you have not wasted your time, because once you hear this, then it benefits you. Now, second pastimes, we have to go to another canto. This is a canto 12, chapter 10. If you have home these books, then you can look into this. The Supreme Lord Narayan had arranged this opulent display of his bewildering potency. Markandeya Rishi, being experiences, took shelter of the Lord. So Markandeya Muni was a great sage. And let's see what happens next. So the Goswami said, Lord Rudra, traveling in the sky on his bull and accompanied by his consort Rudrani, as well as his personal associates, observed Markandeya in the trance. Goddess Uma, seeing the sage, addressed Lord Girisha, my lord, just see this learned Brahmana, his body, mind and senses motionless in trance. He is as calm as the waters of ocean when the wind have ceased and the fish remains still. Therefore, my lord, since you bestow perfection on the performance of the austerity, please award this sage the perfection that is obviously due to him. Lord Shiva replied, surely this saintly Brahmana does not desire any benediction, not even liberation itself, for he has attained pure devotional service unto the inexhaustible personality of Godhead. Still, my dear Bhavani, let us talk with this saintly personality. After all, association with saintly devotees is man's highest achievement. So the Goswami said, having spoken thus, Lord Shankara, the shelter of pure soul, master of all spiritual sciences, and controller of all embodied living beings, approached the sage. Because Markandeya's material mind had stopped functioning, the sage failed to notice that Lord Shiva and his wife, the controller of the universe, had personally come to see him. Markandeya was so absorbed in the meditation that he was unaware of either himself or the external world. Sri Markandeya saw Lord Shiva suddenly appear within his heart. How? Because understanding the situation very well, the powerful Lord Shiva employed his mystic power to enter within the sky of Markandeya's heart, just as the wind passes through an opening. Lord Shiva had 3 eyes, 10 arms, and a tall body that shone like the rising sun. He wore a tiger skin and he carried a trident, a bow, arrows, and sword, and a shield, along with prayer beads, a damru, drum, a skull, and an axe. Astonished, the sage came out of his trance and thought, who is this and where he has come from? Opening his eyes, the sage saw Lord Rudra, the spiritual master of 3 worlds, together with Uma and Rudra's followers. Markandeya then offered his respectful obeisances by bowing down his head. Markandeya worshipped Lord Shiva along with Uma and Shiva's associates by offering them birds of welcome, sitting places, water for washing their feet, scented drinking water, fragrant oils, flowers, garland, and arti lamp. So this is the purpose. Although we really don't have those gross materials, paraphernalias in our hands, today, being a Śiva Rātri, we worship both the Supreme Personality of God of Lord Krishna as well as Lord Shiva. Pretty soon, within 5 minutes, you will see that the half curtain will be closed and we will be offering a wonderful feast to Lord Krishna and Lord Shiva. And similarly, just like Markandeya Muni's offering, we have to also offer same thing to our beloved guests, Lord Shiva and Krishna himself. All kind of paraphernalias with avahana, asana, padya, argya, achamaniya, snana, vastra, upavita, gandha, pushpa, dhupa, deepa, naivedya, thambula, dakshina, pradakshina, everything, and satisfy them. Right? So, Markandeya said, Almighty Lord, what can I possibly do for you, who are fully satisfied by your own ecstasy? Indeed, by your mercy you satisfy this entire world. Again and again I offer my obeisances unto you. O all auspicious transcendental personality, as the Lord of the goodness, you give pleasure in contact with the modes of passion, you appear most fearful, and you also associate with the mode of ignorance. Sutta Goswami said, Lord Shiva, the foremost demigod and the shelter of the saintly devotee, was satisfied by Markandeya's praise. Please, he smiled and addresses the sage. Lord Shiva said, please ask me for some benediction. Since among all givers of benedictions, we three, Brahma, Vishnu, and I, are the best, seeing us never goes in vain, because simply by seeing us, mortal achieves immortality. The inhabitants and ruling demigods of all planets, along with Lord Brahma, the Supreme Lord Hari, and I, glorify, worship, and assist those Brahmanas who are saintly, always peaceful, free of material attachment, compassionate to all living beings, purely devoted to us, devoid of hatred and endowed with equal vision. So here, some qualities of a Vaishnava, qualities of a devotees are mentioned, and we should always put a bottom line to that, high line, and remember these particular qualities. How can you qualify in eyes of Krishna and in eyes of Lord Shiva? Again, here it says that the people who are saintly, always peaceful, free of material attachment, compassionate to all living beings, purely devoted to us, devoid of hatred and endowed with equal vision. These are the minimum requirements. These devotees do not differentiate between Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, and me, nor do they differentiate between themselves and other living beings. Therefore, because you are this kind of saintly devotee, we worship you. This is just climax. Person like Lord Shiva, when he says, we worship you, right? To a devotee, to a mortal being. But they are so humble, truthful, and honest. When they see these qualities in a devotee, the devotee is not only supposed to worship them, but they also see devotee as a worshipable deity for them. So this is very beautiful. Mere bodies of water do not constitute holy places, nor are lifeless statues of demigods actually worshipable deities. Because external vision fails to appreciate the higher essence of all the holy rivers and the demigods, these purify only after a considerable time. But devotees like you purify immediately just by being sin. By meditating upon the Supreme Soul, performing austerities, engaging in Vedic study, and following regulatory principles, the Brahmanas sustain within themselves the three Vedas, which are non-different from Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, and me. Therefore, I offer my obeisances unto the Brahmanas. Even the worst sinners and the social outcasts are purified just by hearing about or seeing personalities like you. Imagine then how purified they become by directly speaking with you. So the Goswami said, drinking with his ears Lord Shiva's nectarian words, full of confidential essence of religion, Markandeya Rishi could not be satiated. Markandeya, having been forced by Lord Shiva, Vishnu's illusory energy to wander about for a long time in the water of dissolution, had become extremely exhausted, but Lord Shiva's words of nectar vanquished his accumulated suffering. Thus he addresses Lord Shiva. Shri Markandeya said, it is indeed most difficult for embodied souls to understand the pastimes of the universe controllers. For such lords bow down to and offer praises to very living beings they rule. This is very difficult to understand this pastime because you are glorifying me. You want to worship me, which is something unusual. Generally, it is to induce embodied souls to accept religious principles that the authorized teachers of religion exhibit ideal behavior while encouraging and praising the popular or proper behavior of others. This apparent humility is simply a show of mercy. Such behavior of Supreme Lord and his personal associate, which the Lord affects by his own bewildering potency, does not spoil his power any more than a magician's powers are diminished by his exhibition of tricks. I offer my obeisances to that Supreme Personality of Godhead who has created this entire universe simply by his desire and then entered into it as the super soul. By making the modes of nature act, he seemed to be the direct creator of this world, just as a dreamer seems to be acting within this dream. He is owner and ultimate controller of the three modes of nature. Yet he remains alone and pure without any equal. He is the supreme spiritual master of all, the original personal form of absolute truth. What a beautiful explanation that they have given, the wordings and the way they have described the absolute truth. They have defined the absolute truth in a wonderful way. O all-pervading Lord, since I have received the benediction of seeing you, what other benediction can I ask for? Simply by seeing you, a person fulfills all his desires and can achieve anything imaginable. But I do request one benediction from you. Now, this is very, very important. All the devotees like Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruvji, and so many other devotees, they have received the benedictions from the Lord. And here, Markandeya Muni was asked for the benediction. And now, let's see what he's asking. It's very beautiful asking, because this is the way a devotee should ask if any benediction has in his mind to ask for. So he says, but I do request one benediction from you, who are full of all perfection and able to shower down the fulfillment of all desires. I ask to have unfailing devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, and for His dedicated devotees, especially you. So, that's all he wants. He is surrendering to Lord Sri Krishna and is asking for the eternal devotional service to Lord in his lotus feet, and a devotional service to serve all his devotees, starting from Lord Shiva. So Sutta Goswami said, thus worshipped and glorified by eloquent statements of sage Markandeya, Lord Shiva, encouraged by his concert, replied to him as follows. O great sage, because you are devoted to Lord Adhokshaja, all your desires will be fulfilled. Until the very end of the creation cycle, you will enjoy pious fame and freedom from old age and death. O Brahmana, may you have perfect knowledge of past, present and future, along with transcendental realization of the Supreme and reached by renunciation. You have the brilliance of an ideal Brahmana, and thus may you achieve the post of spiritual master of Puranas. Sutta Goswami said, having thus granted Markandeya Rishi's benedictions, Lord Shiva went on his way, continuing to describe to Goddess Devi the accomplishment of sage and the direct exhibition of Lord's illusory power that he had experienced. Markandeya Rishi, the best of descendants of Bhrigu, is glorious because of his achievements of perfection in mystic yoga. Even today, he travels about this world fully absorbed in unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, whoever is actually reading these pastimes will become a very good devotee. It's not because just going through the book and flipping pages, but once you go through the exercise which is recommended here, the path that a devotee should take to become a good devotee, is all charted here. And we should read it over and over again in order to get the best benefit out of it. One time, while King Chitraketu was traveling outer space on a brilliantly effulgent airplane given to him by Lord Vishnu, he saw Lord Shiva surrounded by Siddhas and Charanas. Lord Shiva was sitting in an assembly of great saintly persons, embracing Parvati on his lap with his arm. Chitraketu laughed loudly and spoke within the hearing of Mother Parvati. Chitraketu said, Lord Shiva, the spiritual master of general populace, is the base of all living entities who have accepted material bodies. He enunciated the system of religion. Yet, how wonderful it is that he is embracing his wife Parvati In the midst of the assembly of great saintly persons, Lord Shiva, whose hair is matted on his head, has certainly understood great austerities and penances. Indeed, he is the president in the assembly of strict followers of Vedic principles. Nonetheless, he is seated with his wife on his lap in the midst of saintly person and is embracing her as if he were a shameless, ordinary human being. Ordinary conditioned persons generally embrace their wives and enjoy their company in solitary places. How wonderful it is that Lord Mahadeva, although a great master of austerity, is embracing his wife openly in the midst of an assembly of great saints. Srila Shukadeva Goswami continued, "My dear king, after hearing Chitraketu's statement, Lord Shiva, the most powerful personality, whose knowledge is fathomless, simply smiled and remained silent, and all the members of the assembly followed the Lord by not saying anything." Not knowing the prowess of Lord Shiva and Parvati, Chitraketu strongly criticized them. His statements were not at all pleasing, and therefore the goddess Parvati, being very angry, spoke as follows to Chitraketu, who thought himself better than Lord Shiva in controlling the senses. So, Mother Parvati is really very, very upset at Chitraketu. And he said, "This person is puffed up because of his achievements, thinking I am the best. He does not deserve to approach the shelter of Lord Vishnu's lotus feet, which are worshipped by all saintly persons, for he is impudent, thinking himself greatly important." And now she is cursing him. "O impudent one, my dear son, now take birth in a low, sinful family of demons, so that you will not commit such an offense again towards exalted, saintly persons in this world." Shri Shukadeva Goswami continued, "My dear King Parikshit, when Chitraketu was cursed by Parvati, he descended from his airplane, bowed down her with great humility, and pleased her completely." So here what happens that King Chitraketu is confessing his mistake reluctantly, and finally he says that, "O mother, you are now unnecessarily angry. But since all of my happiness and distress are destined by my past activities," why this happened? Karma, right? So whatever sanchit karmas were there, when they rise in your life, that time you cannot stop them, you cannot do anything. You may not have really broken the law, but in eyes of the authority, you are breaking the law. And many times in day-to-day life, we experience this. Although we didn't say something, somebody says, "Why did you say like that?" Although we didn't do anything, they say, why did you do this? I say, "Well, I'm not part of it. I don't know anything about this." But they will blame on you, and you will have to suffer whatever punishment that they grant. So here he says, "O mother, you are now unnecessarily angry, but since all my happiness and distress are destined by my past activities, I do not plead to be excused or relieved from your curse. although what I have said is not wrong, please let whatever you think is wrong be pardoned. Shri Shukadeva Goswami continued, O King Parikshit, subduer of the enemy, after Chitraketu satisfied Lord Shiva and his wife Parvati, he boarded his airplane and left as they look on. When Lord Shiva and Parvati saw that Chitraketu, although in form of the curse, was unafraid, they smiled, being fully astonished by the behavior. So, since he firmly believed that he was right, he was not repenting for whatever happened. Thereafter, in the presence of great sage Narada, the demons, the inhabitants of Siddhaloka, and his personal associates, Lord Shiva, who is most powerful, spoke to his wife Parvati while they all listened. Lord Shiva said, My dear beautiful Parvati, have you seen the greatness of the Vaishnavas? Being servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, they are great souls and are not interested in any kind of material happiness. So these are again, we go through the qualities of Vaishnava. Devotee solely engages in devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana. Never fear any condition of life. For them, the heavenly planets, liberation, and the hellish planets are all the same. For such devotees are interested only in the service of the Lord. Because of the actions of the Supreme Lord's external energy, the living entities are conditioned in contact with material bodies. The dualities of happiness and distress, birth and death, curses and favors are natural byproducts of this contact in material world. As one mistakenly considers a flower garland to be a snake, or experiences happiness and distress in a dream, so in the material world, by lack of careful consideration, we differentiate between happiness and distress, considering one good and the other bad. This is the final words that we are learning from Lord Shiva. He is the one who is teaching us by giving us a beautiful example of a rope and a snake. When there is a dim light, you could see a little bit. But that rope, the way it's lying on the floor, it looks like there is a snake on the floor. You mistaken, and you get scared, and you may scream even. But that's not a snake, that's a rope. So we always mistaken a rope to be a snake and snake to be a rope. And that's a dangerous game. And that's what is known as a Maya. Ma means no, and Ya means that. That which is not is known as Maya. So he gave a beautiful definition or example of rope and a snake, and he explained what a Maya is. So, persons engaged in devotional service to Lord Vasudeva, Krishna, has naturally perfect knowledge and detachment from this material world. Therefore, such devotees are not interested in the so-called happiness or so-called distress of this world. Neither I, Lord Shiva says, nor Brahma, nor the Ashwini Kumaras, nor Narada, or the other great sages who are Brahma's sons, nor even the demigods can understand the pastimes and personality of the Supreme Lord. Although we are part of the Supreme Lord, we consider ourselves independent, separate controllers, and thus we cannot understand His identity. So, it's not easy to understand Lord Sri Krishna. He continues, He holds no one as very dear and no one as inimical. He has no one for his own relative, and no one is alien to him. He is actually the soul of all living entities. Thus, he is auspicious friend of all living beings and is very near and dear to all of them. This magnanimous Chitraketu is a dear devotee of the Lord. He is equal to all living entities and is free from attachment and hatred. Similarly, I am also very dear to Lord Narayan. Therefore, no one should be astonished to see the activities of the most exalted devotees of Narayan, for they are free from attachment and envy. They are always peaceful and they are equal to everyone. Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, O king, after hearing this speech by her husband, the demigoddess Uma, the wife of Lord Shiva, gave up her astonishment at the behavior of King Chitraketu and became steady in intelligence. The great devotee Chitraketu was so powerful that he was quite competent to curse Mother Parvati in retaliation. But instead of doing so, he very humbly accepted the curse and bowed his head before Lord Shiva and his wife. This is very much to be appreciated as a standard behavior of Vaishnava. Being cursed by Mother Durga Bhavani, the wife of Lord Shiva, the same Chitraketu accepted birth in a demoniac species of life. Although still fully equipped with transcendent knowledge and practical application of that knowledge in life, he appeared as a demon at the fire sacrifice performed by Twasta, and thus he became famous as Rutrasura. My dear King Parikshit, you inquired from me how Rutrasura, a great devotee, took birth in a demoniac family. Thus I have tried to explain to you everything about it. Chitraketu was a great devotee, Mahatma. If one hears this history of Chitraketu from a pure devotee, the listener also is freed from conditioned life of material existence. So, you and me, we are all very fortunate. One who rises from bed early in the morning and recites this history of Chitraketu, controlling words and mind and remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will return home, back to Godhead without any difficulty. So, this is wonderful. I think all these years, especially in ISKCON, there was no tradition that I know that we used to celebrate Śiva Rātri. But this year, 2121 came, and we had a chance to think of Lord Shiva, invite him to our temple and get his blessings and his preachings. So thank you for joining. We'll read a few more minutes. The sponsor of this particular program is again benefited by blessings and benedictions from Shri Radha Govinda, because during these readings, whatever we offer to Lord Shri Krishna and Radha, that is done on the name of the sponsor. Even the arti that we are going to offer the incense, the ghee lamp, water and hanki, and flower and a chamar, all that paraphernalias, anything that we offer so far, avahana, asana, padya, argya, achmaniya, snana, vastra, upavita, gandha, pushpa, dhupa, dipa, naivedya, takshina, pakshina, we are offering behalf of our sponsor. So please try to consider, and if you want to consider, you can sponsor, because from March 19th, we will be starting reading Chaitanya Charitamrita for 9 days. So you are welcome. We will be reading right from here. It's a very, very wonderful, beautiful scripture that you have ever come across. And that's why I insist that, we are reading all kind of literature. Books are right behind me. But Chaitanya Charitamrita is very, very sweet. And that's why you should try to be familiar with it. I'll just give you the example of this. In one of the verses, Krishna Karanamrita, Bilvamangal Thakur was practically blind. And the blind man is writing and talking about Lord Shri Krishna. And he writes, Chintamani jayati somagirir guru mein, shiksha guruscha bhagavan shiki pancha mauli, yad pada kalpataru pallava shekhareshu, Leela swayamvara rasam labate jaya shri. Ananda leela maya vigrahaya hema badivyat visundaraya tasmai mahaprem Rasa pradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. I bow down to Chaitanya Chandra, whose complexion is as beautiful as molten gold, who is busy distributing love of Godhead freely through his nectarian pastimes, full of pleasure. All glories to Chintamani and my initiating spiritual master, Somagiri. All glories to my instructing spiritual master, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, who wears peacock feather in his crown, under shades of his lotus feet, which are like desire tree. Jai Shri Radharani enjoys the transcendental mellow of an eternal concert. And here, Panchamauli and Shekhar is also mentioned, and that is Lord Shiva. Because of his particular sampradaya that he was initiated in, Lord Shiva was also the spiritual master of Bilvamangal Thakur. So now we are ready for the Aarti now. In 2 minutes we will be singing the Aarti. and at the same time so this is we call a Sandhya Arti, and you sing? Thank you. Ki bajayo Jaya Gora Chandra Aruti ko shobha Ki bajayo Jaya Gora Chandra Aruti ko shobha Jhanvi Tatvan Jagaman Lobha Jhanvi Tatvan Jagaman Lobha Dakshina Nitai Chand Mam Gadadharam Dakshina Nitai Chand Bam Gadadharam Nikate Advaita Shrini Vasa Chatridhara Nikate Advaita Shrini Vasa Chatridhara Vasi Ache Gora Chan Ratna Singhasan Basi Yache Gora Chan Ratna Singhasan आरती कोरेन ब्रह्मा आदि देवगणे आरती कोरेन ब्रह्मा आदि देवगणे नारायणी आदि कोरी चामर दुलायन हरि आदि कोरी चामर दुलायन संजय मुकुंद बासु घोष आदि गायन संजय मुकुंद बासु घोष आदि गायन शंखा बाजे घंटा बाजे बाजे करतालन शंखा बाजे घंटा बाजे बाजे करतालन मधुर मृदंगा बाजे परम रसाला शंख बाजे घंटा बाजे मधुर 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 बाजे शंखा बाजे घंटा बाजे मधुर 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 बाजे मधुर 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 बाजे मधुर 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 बाजे हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताई गुर हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल। बहु कोटि चंद्र जिनी वदन उज्ज्वला, बहु कोटि चंद्र जिनी वदन उज्ज्वला, गल देश वन माला, कोर जल माला, गल देश वन माला, कोर जल माला, शिवा शुक नारदा प्रेम गदा गदा, शिवा शुक नारदा प्रेम गदा गदा, बाकटी विनोद देखे गुरार संपादा, बाकटी विनोद देखे गुरार संपादा, कि बजाओ जय गौरा चंद आरती को शोभा, जानवी तट वन जगमन लोबा, हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe. Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. जय गिरि गोवर्धन, गिरि गोवर्धन, गिरि गोवर्धन, जय गिरि गोवर्धन। हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल। निताई गुर हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे। जय राधा गोविंद राधे जय राधा गोविंद राधे जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा। नमो विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य स्तोत्र सदा भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की, भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज की, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसिद्ध गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। अंतर मायापुर धाम की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, समावेद भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे all good to assemble devotees, all good to assemble devotees, all good to Guru and Gaurang. Namaste. You want? Sing. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahlad Ladnaina. Hiranyakashipu Raksham. Shilatankan Kalayen. Pito Nasiho Parito Nasiho. Yato yato yamitato nasihum. Bahir nasihon hidaye nasihum. Narasiham gadim sharanam prapadyem. तव कर कमल वरे नकाम अद्भुत श्रृंगार दालिता हिरण्यकशिपु तानुभृंगा केशवधृता नरहरि रूपम जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे। केशवधृता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे। जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव। जय प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज। जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह। जय प्रभुपदा 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 जय प्रभुपदा। Jaipur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. प्रहलाद महाराज की जय. They want to see you. No, come. Yeah. She's the one who was reciting the Narsi prayer, right? You like it? Yeah. Beautiful.